Yo, what up and welcome to a video on... Alright, so here's the deal. Living the life of a vampire can be tough. The sun hurts. Running out of blood can lead to your demise. And there are many enemies and monsters that we need to take down to not only assert our dominance, but also gain their strength to become the most Giga Chad vampire that ever stepped to Dracula. Which I think actually Dracula might be planned future content that the devs may or may not have said would be coming out. Anyway, this video, moreover my story, is going to be about my experience on a PvP server. I also didn't join just any PvP server, but one of the official PvP servers, meaning that there was no server wipes. This video is the culmination of being on this server for about 3 weeks, not knowing what to expect from a PvP server and knowing the game had elements of Rust. I felt it was going to be well worth recording and documenting the events that played out on my journey in this game. So, with that, let's get into it. My journey starts just like any other vampire in this world. I awoke from a crypt just like the opening cutscene portrays. From here, I walked outside and immediately start, as the medieval slang goes, popping caps in some asses. This was the starting zone, which boils down to listening to the whispers as to which actions to take to gain new knowledge from vampires of old. AKA reading the text in the upper left-hand corner. Then I was out in the world just running around killing stuff to finish my armor, looking for a place to set up camp, although I feel I could have picked a better spot. I made the hastily decision with zero foresight to build almost immediately, but not before logging off to go do something off the computer, which in late game I found out logging out in any spot means your character is sleeping in that spot, but let's not get too ahead of the story here. Coming back from my little break, I began to clear the area I would be building in. I also paid the local bandit camps a visit, which are places these poor souls would get to know me very well at when I go farming for supplies. From here, it was a big farm, mostly to get supplies and continue with the building of my base and completing the tasks in order to unlock the vampire wisdom. During this time, I had made my first contact with another player, which gave me a weird feeling because I had expected to get killed, but they just clapped and walked away. Came back and transformed into a rat, which was a cool intro into an ability, and were on their way. This made me feel very odd because coming from games with PvP, it usually seems everyone is out for everyone, but this felt different. And as time would go on in the server, I would see that this wasn't the only instance of behavior like this. After completing enough tasks, I finally unlock the Blood Altar, which is essentially a GPS for the boss encounters in this game. By using the altar, you are able to then track the whereabouts of the many different bosses in this game, which by defeating them you unlock new spells and abilities as well as new technology to make use of better materials for better equipment. During this time I also saw the server chat getting pretty active, and the names in chat would become Oh, so familiar as time goes on. One might even turn out to be my neighbor. Anyway, because of the feeling I got from the chat, I decided to introduce myself to them. I not only felt this was a good way to feel part of the community, but also to give myself an opportunity to not get my base fucked with. Finally coming across the boss I had been tracking, I faced my first boss, which in good video game fashion is a big wolfy boy. I took it down without much issue, and with the drinking of its blood allowed me to gain the swiftness of a wolf, by, of course, turning into a wolf. I quickly decided to start tracking the next boss, but first had to do some resource management. Back on the trail, I hit up my local bandit camp and headed for the boss, which luckily wasn't too far away. Errol, the Stonebreaker, was easily taken care of, and with his defeat we get some chaos magic. Now a lot of the early game is mostly this loop of track boss, unlock new technology, and fight bosses until you have to farm better resources to make better equipment to fight stronger bosses, which is the gameplay loop that I love. That's why I personally have always loved the Monster Hunter series. But anyway, back to it. After Errol, we went to Keely the Frost Archer, who didn't prove to be too difficult, and I then looted the entire area, even with the sun blasting down on my cold dead vampire skin. Sometimes you just gotta be the Giga Chad vampire and tempt the godly rays. While running back to base, I stumble upon a 100% warrior blood type, which let me explain how blood works in this game. You drink blood from either enemies in the game or other players that you defeat. There are different blood types, which grant different abilities, which are based around the different class types. Scholar's blood gives bonuses for spells. Brute and Warrior give more melee-based bonuses. Rogue gives higher crit chances, and the better the blood percent, the more bonuses they give, and the effect of the bonuses also increases. When you take damage in battle, your blood pool will deplete quicker, as it is quite literally your life essence and helps you heal. There is also a healing ability that drains your blood and can be used mid-fight. Running out of blood will cause you to die a slow death, and right after getting this blood, I run right into the next boss, Rufus the Foreman. He was no challenge, especially after getting juiced from the beastly blood.
What the fuck? Why can't I hurt you? What the heck? Really?
Back at base, I see I'm tasked with turning my shoddy base into a legitimate castle, so of course it's that time to start farming resources. While farming resources, I have my second player encounter, which went just like the other. This guy, Drusilla, would pass me on the road with a quick "What's up, homie?" The "What's up, homie" vibe was the vibe the entire server seemed to have, even though the same guy not much time after would almost end me, but realize his mistake and apologize. Must have felt extra jumpy with probably a bunch of resources he probably collected. I also made it a conscious effort to remember people's names. You know, just in case. That goes for names I saw in global chat as well. Anyway, after collecting enough resources and destroying my coffin from blocking my final floor tile, I now have a roof over my head to protect me from the sun. No longer will I have to burn bones to ash to fill the skies above me to merely protect myself from God's holy rays. I also get a new bed. I logged for a bit, and then on my return I went to fight Lydia the Chaos Archer, who sounds an awful lot like a YouTuber I've watched, now that I think of it. Taking care of her unlocks me some new chaos magic and make my way to the next boss, Goreswine the Ravager. I ran into Goreswine on one of his patrols, but then the sun came up and made the fight a bit difficult as there wasn't a whole lot of cover from the sun. And he was destroying all the trees in the area, which inevitably led me to boxing myself in. My first loss to a boss, which I felt wasn't too bad. Making my way back for a rematch, I found him in his home territory, being the cemetery, of course. Also, being the brilliant guy that I am, I ran in and pulled the necromancers, who all summon about 4 skeletons apiece. So I had essentially an army chase me off. Going back, I was more strategic and took out the groups before fighting the boss, and it's a good thing I cleared the entire area because I ended up using the entire area to dodge some of his attack. But that being said, the fight itself wasn't too bad and unlocked me a new unholy spell. Come again? Oh. Back at base, I decided to do a little resource farming, and after a long back and forth, I took down the stone golem that resides right outside my home. For my first day, I had felt pretty accomplished. I had erected a castle and took out multiple bosses. This was where I finished off my first day. The next couple of days I wouldn't have much time to play as some serious family matters were happening, so with what little time I had, I went straight to my neighbor down the road, Grayson the Armorer, who happened to be the next boss I had to take down. Easily taking him down, I went back to base and made a servant's coffin, which allows you to take enemies and use them to go on supply missions for you. I quickly grabbed one of the first enemies I saw and brought him to the servant coffin, which, knowing now that blood level not only affects the player's stats, but also increases the possibility of getting a higher expertise percentage on servants, making them have more potential power, as well as the later game enemies being more powerful than these little bandits. But anyway, he was my first servant, and that's all that matters. I present to you Stefano with a whopping 2% expertise, baby.
I arrived.
With me out of time on this day, I had made a plan that the next time I was on, I would expand the castle. It was now day 3, but there was actually a day in between where I hadn't played after the last time I played, so technically it would be day 4. But canonically, it was the 3rd day playing. But anyway, I started the day with paying Clive the Firestarter a visit, and after first getting blown the fuck up by his many homies, I came face to face with Clive himself. And after a very fun and very good fight, I of course was victorious. On my return to the castle, it was time for the expansion to commence. While waiting for some materials I needed to finish processing, I decided it was a good time to take on the next boss, being Pelora, the Feywalker. Pelora resides in the Gleaming Meadows, and this was the first boss that gave me a little difficulty. She summons 2 butterflies that will spam spells at you, as well as having to dodge her Ghost Wolf and her Triple Spirit Ball Delight. Being taken down, I decided to use some of the new resources to finish some walls before heading back at the boss. Finishing the expansion and rearranging workstations, it was time to finish what I started. On this next attempt, I had the unfortunate experience of it turning daytime and trying to take shelter from the sun under this tree while fighting her. With these terrible circumstances, I of course got taken down once again. I ran back home to fix my stuff because all of my armor was breaking, and then I went back at it again. While fighting, I noticed Alex, who, as I mentioned, taking notes of names in chat, had mentioned a Silverlight Garden was open. In this moment, I had no idea what that meant, and being occupied with the task at hand, I didn't feel it appropriate to look into it. However, the names Tug, Alex, and Reckless held more weight on this server, and with good reason, as they were basically the Apex clan on the server. As I said, this game has elements of Rust, and while I was playing solo, I did have plans of joining with others at some point. However, this was not that time, and let's not get ahead of ourselves. While trying to stay in safety from the sun, I get taken down once again. Back at the boss, I'm sure she knew I was on my way back after she pushed my face in shit multiple times over. But this time it was different. This time it was the time. With a full night cycle, I was ready to fight into the night, and this time, fight I did. As I took this son of a bitch down, feeling victorious, I even felt the need to talk about it in chat, and I guess I wasn't the only one who had trouble with this fight. I was also given knowledge of the boss scaling in this game. If there are multiple people for a boss, not only does the health scale, but as do the amount of creatures they summon, as well as the health of those creatures, which is all stuff I scientifically proved later in my journey. Again, spoilers, and let's not get ahead of ourselves. With the defeat of Pelora, I now had the ability to place a teleportation waygate, which now made the one right across the road, which happened to be the only redeeming factor to the location I built in, useless. At least it gave me a use for my garden area I had made, and with that, this day came to a close. Day 4 started with, yes, that's right, more castle expanding. With all the bosses I was destroying, I was starting to need more space for new tech, and it was time to further increase my real estate value. After which, it was time to take on the next boss, being just a big fucking bear. He had all the qualities of a bear. He was big, he was powerful, and he was kicking my fucking ass. He was definitely the embodiment of all the characteristics that make a bear. After a couple attempts, I had him on the floor next to my fireplace, and was granted bear form. Back at base, I tried a trippy shroom. Whoa. Oh, the bear. Oh, that. Stefano. My bird. Bitch. What was that? And then decided to take on the next boss, being Nicholas the Fallen, who, by defeating him, would give me access to new researching methods to improve my weapons and armor further. Nicholas, being a necromancer, I immediately had flashbacks to what happened before. And as I should, because I got killed by all the non-boss necromancers on my way in. However, when I actually got to Nicholas, I was surprised by how much easier he was than the bear I had just fought. And it only took a single attempt to take him down. Back at the castle, I decided to continue expanding because I was feeling creative, and I also noticed my neighbor, who happened to be Nadia, a familiar name in chat, had also expanded their castle, and not wanting to lose potential building space, I decided to claim some as my own without caring if this would cause any issues in the future. At the same time, this was me saying, "Get off my yard," without saying, "Get off my yard." As you can see, she was very close to where my backyard was. I next set out to fight Quincy the Bandit King, who would unlock new blacksmithing potential for me, being the ability to make iron ingots and craft iron weapons. However, when reaching his encampment, I found out I needed to make explosives to blow open the entrance, so I had to backtrack and make explosives. Now equipped with C4, I set back out to fight Quincy in the name of progress. Fighting my way through the camp, I was overwhelmed and had to run back because I got killed. I decided I would just pray that the gate would still be blown open, and to my luck, my prayers were answered. fighting my way through with vampire instinct. This time I make my way to Quincy just in time for the sun to come up. While waiting around for the sun to go down, I get too antsy and decided to just run the fuck home and continue my renovations and farm for materials. While renovating my castle, I see a name that will become more commonplace later. This is Bite Me. And you can see by his nature, he seems to look out for low-level players. He managed to, while in bat form, which spoiler for later, but anyway, got himself stuck in someone's castle. Seems a little suspicious, but he could be legit. During my time renovating my castle, I made the mirror, which allows you to customize your character indefinitely, which for someone like me, I will do exactly that. You will see my character change appearance many times throughout my journey just because I get bored of what my character looks like sometimes. After messing about in my castle and farming for materials, I called it a day without ever going back to Quincy. Ah yes, a new day, and this being after work on a Saturday, giving me ample time to do whatever I would like. I started off with doing some stuff with the mirror, and then went on my usual resource farm, as I was trying to get enough books to break down to research for new knowledge. After a few material runs and kind of wanting to figure out how to fight the putrid rat, I started doing a mock-up of what the walls and placement would look like if I wanted to better protect the castle heart. Something I didn't explain yet is, much like Rust rules, which takes resources to keep a base from decaying, in vrising you have a castle heart which you feed blood to, and it will last a set amount of time before you must refill. If enemies break in, you want it to be as difficult as possible to reach the castle heart, so I decided to get started on fitting rooms to not only make the place look stylized, but also for the added function of keeping potential attackers at bay. Another habit you may notice I have is that I always double click my doors to open them, but also close them as I go through them. This is a habit that later becomes very hard for me to break. After I did a little evaluation of how close my neighbor was, I went back to my alchemy lab and looked at what was necessary to spawn the putrid rat. In order for this boss to spawn, you need to have a vermin nest and the correct materials to summon him. I had all but one necessary piece to this problem, and the way to get the remaining roadblock out of my way was to do a little fishing. After several fishing spots, it wouldn't even be from fishing that I get the fish I need. It would be obtained from a chest in one of the nearby bandit camps. Fish in hand, I head back home to summon the rat boss. Adding the ingredients of fish bones, some bone dust, and a live fish, the contraption starts oozing green slime and somehow amalgamates all these pieces into a fucking rat, who goes down with ease. Defeating this boss gives me the ability to turn into a rat myself, which you may wonder why that is useful. In rat form, you are able to better be undetected by enemies, and it also helps you hide from players as it hides your name. With the putrid rat out of the way, I communed with the blood altar to see I had all the bosses done up to Quincy, meaning it was finally time to actually pay him a visit. But before I did, I decided to put my alchemy lab to use and make some better preparations before fighting him, as I now had the ability to make potions. Healing and strength potions in hand, one explosive for the door, I set out to put an end to Quincy, who had been saved just the day before due to the sun. On reaching the camp, the door was already blown out. Clearing my way to Quincy, I healed up just before pulling him and didn't even use my buff potion. Nevertheless, it was on. This fight really had me appreciate the combat in this game. Fighting the bosses in this game is very satisfying. Even when fighting during sunlight hours and you have to work within the environment to keep sheltered from the sun while also protecting your life from the hostile enemies is such an exhilarating feeling. Halfway through this fight, I pop a healing potion and actually use my buff. And after a well-fought battle, I take Quincy down, take his blood, and run my ass home. Back at home, I decide to make another servant coffin and work towards making my castle throne where I would be able to finally send out servants on missions to farm resources for me. Without much hesitation and without any evaluation of my potential servants, I settle for one of the first servants I see who happens to have a slightly higher blood percentage than the average under 10% I usually run into. I set him in his new bed where the whispers brainwash him to do my bidding. Before completing the throne, however, I began tracking my next target from my blood altar. Beatrice the Tailor was my next target, and with defeating her, I'd be able to make a loom. With a loom, I would be able to make yarn, and with yarn I can make better armor at a blacksmithing station. On the way up to Beatrice, I run along the Haunted Iron Mine, which is a place that I will make many visits later. I also, on my journey, run past Jade the Vampire Slayer and duck her line of sight. Walking further down the road from the mine, tracking the scent of Beatrice, I find myself in the first village I personally had set foot in, being Dawnbreak Village. I try my hand at stealthing into the village, only to immediately run into a watchdog. The townspeople force my hand to fight back until I accidentally pull a boss I wasn't here to fight, causing me to run in the opposite direction of her into the boss I am here to fight, who is a boss who doesn't fight. I leave the area to allow myself to make a better approach, this time knowing who and where my target is. Unfortunately, the sun comes up, but that doesn't stop me from making my attempt on this poor elderly woman. Once she had made enough distance from anyone that can help her, I made my move. Chasing her through the town, concealed by the shade of the trees, I follow her all the way out of town, down the road where I finally take her down at a militia camp. While at the militia camp, I decide to clear it out and I find a horse. With this new trusty steed, I make my way back home. Back at home, I see that the horses must be kept alive by giving them water. I place my loom and test out my new ability. Then do a little resource assessment and consult the map on where I can find cotton, which just so happens to be conveniently placed at the cotton farm. With my next destination clear, I take to my teleporter and head on my way to do a resource run. Whilst collecting cotton, I am met with very little retaliation. Just a few militia as well as a couple farmers. However, this area is guarded by something other than brute force. And that is garlic, the true bane of any vampire. Being in this area, you begin to gain stacks of a garlic debuff, making you take more damage and deal less damage, which has a max stack of 100. These stacks also stack very quickly and take a century to shed. Nevertheless, I powered through for the sake of yarn production, which would equal progress. Fleeing on a nearby horse from the cotton farm, I stumble on the horse track, as well as some red-named horses, which in that moment I had no idea what that color meant. I looked around the track very briefly until I saw someone's base placed right near the horses. I then put the horses coupled with the base together and realized I had taken someone's horse. And in a scenario where I had seen someone in a global chat get ready to fight over someone taking their horse, I figured it was best to leave it be and take a horse of my own from the horse track. The thing with the horses in this is they have stats, so some will be faster, accelerate quicker, and be more nimble. So I imagined that taking one from the track would be of a higher quality than usual, and I was on my way. At home, I throw my newly obtained cotton on the loom and obtained my new servant, Javier. With the loom doing its job, and after some castle remodeling, I go for a little walk near the iron mine. While on my expedition, I ran into the next boss on my list, Vincent the Frostbringer. I decided to have a go at him since I had multiple healing potions and strength potions on me. After drinking his life essence and feeling a weird rumble, I steal a horse and make my way back home where I assess my boss targets and attempt to build a castle throne, realizing that I don't have the materials. So back to farming some materials in the nearby camp, I finally get the resources required and make my throne. Taking a seat for the first time, I see the missions I can send my servants out on, which are basically all the areas I am able to go to, and so of course they are able to get those respective resources from these spots. Gearing up of the servants is crucial, as these areas will have, of course, requirements for success. Without me even paying attention to what I am doing, however, I send Stefano on a suicide mission. Oops, but I send Javier on a more balanced mission. And with that, the day came to a close. It was now Sunday, my weekend was in full effect, and it was time to sink more time into this game. I started with some quick farming in my favorite local camp to get enough materials to make yet another sleep prison. I continued my assault on the camp in order to get enough paper to finish my research and make even more sleep prisons. The way research works is you get paper and later scrolls from killing enemies and looting camps that you can then take back to your research desk, where you can learn how to make better weapons, armor, and decorative items to make your castle even more bougie. Once I placed my final sleep prison, I started doing some interior design on the castle to really make it pop off. Then started looking for those that I'd like to fill all those brand new mattresses I just made. I had reached a point where I was being held back by my lack of iron. So I went to the iron mine and started with looting the militia encampment right outside the mines. After clearing and looting the camp, I set my sights on the mine itself. There is a boss in the area, however, that likes to patrol around, and I wasn't ready to take down this boss. Nor was that my mission on this little excursion. So, I waited for her to make her way deeper into the mine while I took out some of the skeletons outside the entrance. I decided this the perfect opportunity to use my disguise technique. When Meredith was far enough away, I began my excavation of the area. While mining in the area, I was met with skeletal mages as well as green balls billowing from the earth every so often, which explains the earth shaking I experienced when fighting Vincent the Frostbringer. With multiple stacks of iron, which I honestly should have grabbed way more. I head back to base. On the way back, however, I stopped at a little camp to pick up a horse so I may get back quicker. This running of resource runs and taking a horse back becomes commonplace later, to the point where by the end of your play session you will have multiple abandoned horses outside your property. I then take my next run for iron. Like I said, I should have mined way more than I did, but whatever, I was just under that mindset of get iron, take base. On this run, however, I run into Christina the Sun Priestess. I take out the guards that were around her and decide to try to take her on. After a close fight, she shits on me, I pick my stuff back up, and I head back on my way towards the mine. So let's set the scene. I mine my iron, hop on my trusty steed, and start my way back towards home. What you are about to witness is the bane of every horse rider's existence. This is something that happens so often in late game that it made me, a lot of the time, not want to even bother taking my horse. Regardless, iron in hand, I made my way back once again. At base, I throw all my iron into the furnace, waiting, and I mean waiting, for the iron bars to be made to get the sweet fruits of my labor, being the smithy. My servant is then done cooking, and I name her Catherine. Note Catherine with a C. After a little time, the other servant, also being a Deadeye, is finished cooking, and name her, of course, Catherine, note with a K, and obtain my first iron weapon. It's my first scythe weapon as well, which will be my main weapon type from here on out, as it was a playstyle I really enjoyed. Also, having upgraded to iron weapons, I finally had my last weapon skill unlocked. I again, for some reason, send someone on a mission of death. Then decide the best way to try out my new weapon is through getting revenge on Christina the Sun Priestess. Being in the immediate area is the cotton farm, and that being a resource I currently really need, I begin stashing all of it everywhere and make my way back triumphant. On my return, I take to the blood altar to review the next boss and what they reward to decide what the next course of action may be. After a little time tinkering in my castle, which the gameplay loop for me essentially would go like this: run out, do a resource run, boss kill, hunt for blood or servants, come back and put all my resources where they should go, rearrange the castle, and then head back out. This time I decided on going after Tristan the Vampire Hunter, being he was just next on the chopping block. I hop on my horse and track the trail. Being on the horse, I found it a little more difficult than when in wolf form to track, as you move faster than the blood trail. Running up on Tristan, it was time. During the fight, a huge group of enemies got pulled, but I luckily ran out of their range. And finished Tristan. Taking the blood of Tristan gave me the ability to not only make primal blood essence, but I was now able to use the vampire power of blood hunger, which would allow me to see the blood quality of all enemies around me. Running around at my favorite local bandit camp, I noticed 2 new players running around killing stuff, so naturally I let nature take its course. I'm not exactly sure what was happening here, but when I looped back around, I found the remains of both of them. So, I decided to lend these 2 a hand and kill the boss with them. Afterwards, I head to my castle to upgrade my gear. I then went to do yet another iron run. While I was at base, global discussion was talking about base making. More importantly, the idea of honeycombing a base. The harder it is to get to the castle heart, the better, much like how the bases built in Rust are very intricate and maze-like. The same kind of rules apply here. You may have noticed over the course of time, my castle has gotten many new rooms, walls, doors, and such, which were all efforts by me trying to fortify my base to the best of my ability. While I am no base building pro, and at the same time had someone come and destroyed my castle, I personally didn't feel it would be the end of the world, I would most likely set up in a new area, preferably in a more endgame area. This area had proven to be extremely safe, as most new players would set up around here, so in general I felt pretty safe. Once again at the blood altar, I look at the progress I have made and the challenges that are still ahead. However, I teleport out just to do a little running around when I encounter a bomb thrower enemy, which at this point in the game was an enemy type I thought was very cool, and I still had an empty coffin to fill at the castle. So naturally, I see what I want, therefore I take what I want. After I put her in the coffin and went back out, I consulted with the map for the next area I wanted to explore, which I decided to head to Mosswick Village. While in Mosswick Village, under the blood moon cloaked in my grandma veil, I walked straight up to the chapel. Once reaching the chapel, I really showed my balls to everyone in the vicinity. Chaos broke out, and almost going down myself, I made a tactical retreat. I regained my strength and went back in, this time on a mission to clear the area, fighting with no remorse, a bloodlust befitting for the blood moon. With none left, it was time to go. Grabbing a horse, I was out. I placed my hull in their respective storage areas, and it was a day done. The next day, Judith came to be, and shortly after was given the news that Stefano died on his mission, to no surprise. The fortunate news was that I could just easily bring him back to life. The unfortunate news for Stefano was that I completely got rid of him for his poor performance on his mission, that he had no chance. So I terminated his contract, his life contract. Really, the reason I got rid of him was to attempt to get a high blood percentage nun from Mosswick Village. I had made several trips to the village trying to get a high blood percentage nun, but had to settle with 31% as I kept getting shitty blood. While on my way home, I got comfortable and started listening to some music, and unfortunately for me, and more unfortunate for the nun during this time of what one would call taking things easy, the nun got killed by some patrolling bandits. Maybe this was karma for having to let Stefano go? Or maybe this was the universe saying not to settle? Because I went straight back to get another nun who this time had a 46% blood percentage. Maybe Stefano was being a good wingman even from beyond the grave. Whatever the case may be, this time I grabbed a horse to better secure the package. After which I went to get more cotton to make some more yarn. With the accumulation of a huge stack of garlic, I switched to bear form, as it was said to help shed the layers with bear form's high resistance, which still takes a century to drop the garlic stench. My next plan of action was to take down the next boss, being Leandra the Shadow Priestess. While tracking my next target, I ran into Burke the Traveling Trader, who wouldn't let me pass without saying hello. Me not being too keen on saying hello, and not really looking to shake hands, I make my way around. Now at the bottom of where I would have to begin my climb, I run into a skeleton bishop. So, of course, more necromancers. While fighting my way up, I run into a mini-boss being the undead commander. Not the most ideal situation when there are many skeletal mages, necromancers, and summons running around, fighting with determination to not die. However, I managed to do just that, and he takes me out. Making my run back, I gave myself a pep talk and decided I would not be made a fool of again. So naturally, I fought the undead commander, but this time things went more favorably for myself. Then I loot a stupid-looking helmet. It was time to fight Leandra, and things went just as well as one might expect. After 2 failed attempts, I raise my nun and Chastity is born. A very fitting name, I feel. I then go on a farming spree, bringing back multiple horses from my consecutive runs. After a few farms, I feel on this one I will try my hand at Leandra once again. I clear the skeletons that are on her platform before beginning the fight, this time juiced and filled with health potions, making her a breeze to take down. I grabbed a horse and added it to the others. Back at base, I do some redecorating and then place a jewel crafting station which will allow me to make better necklaces. Next, my plan was to extend my castle out some more, especially after seeing my neighbor's land crept ever so closer to mine. To ensure I would have more castle, I had to actually build more castle. Later, I decided to fight Tora the Geomancer. I set my tracker and off I went, taking the waygate to the spot I thought might be the closest to her. Seems I had taken the portal in the opposite direction, unfortunately. So in that moment, I was running toward the direction of the track, also getting a little lost on where to go. Consulting with the map and continuing on the trail, I find my way to her and I pop my ferocity potion and go in. The fight overall is relatively straightforward and she goes down first try. At base I make my new jewel crafting table. Now I make a trip to Mosswick Village. The village where they really know me well. But this time it's not to take one of their many nuns. No, this time it was to collect quartz, one of the resources that for some reason is near all of the places of worship in the game. Must be for all the stained glass. I do my usual clearing of the area and begin taking them for their resources. I also named my horse Yeet Haw, formerly known as Brick, which I don't know at what point I even gave him that name. I next began to track Meredith the Bright Archer, which why I chose to track her, I don't know, as I knew exactly where she was. I had her address and I could visit her at any moment. After multiple attempts and multiple tactical evasions, I make the ultimate tactical back down, and I back down all the way back home, where I upgrade my necklace to a ruby pendant, giving me not only more spell and physical power, but a 10% boost to physical resistance. New equipment equipped, I head back, but not before running into Burke the Traveling Trader, where I decided to use my human form to see his wares. Then it was go time, and I caught Meredith outside the caves, which makes things slightly easier as I don't have to worry about skeletal mages or other enemies joining in. Or do I? After a little skirmish, I have to tactically retreat to gain my health. However, I get interrupted by the mobs returning to their patrol pattern. It was now time to defend my life. And if that wasn't bad enough, Meredith, rather than going further into the mines, is actually right outside joining the fight. So now forced to do the biggest back down possible, I heal and try to catch her before going back into the mines. I get her into a rhythm, managing to kite her around a tent, and this method even helps take down the ads that she summons. And after a long, hard-fought battle, well, these are the fights that really make me feel it. I go home, and I set my sights on my next target, and with the mentality of this one is next in line, I start tracking Frostmaw the Mountain Terror. Now, I had no idea what I was in store for, but based on the silhouette, whatever it was going to have a dick for a nose. That much was certain. So I tracked that shit all the way to the fucking snowy mountains, baby. And I then lock eyes with it. Little did I know, rather than having a dick for a nose, he had a metaphorical dick with which he would slap me around with. For my first attempt, I got him very low. However, he threw many tricks at me, and it ended with my demise. He then proceeded to mock me by Naruto running away. The prick. So now I'm heated. Making my way back, I notice that having frail 0% blood isn't ideal, so instead I grab the nearest moose for the far superior 3% creature blood. Deciding that 3% creature blood is also quite shit, I upgrade to the even more superior 5%. Now, I look for him again, which he's really not hard to miss. After a good back and forth and getting chased into a corner, I make a tactical retreat. I run around the trail looking to find him once again, and we go at it again. This time, however, he is the one who makes a tactical retreat. I follow the trail to him yet again, and we fight. After a long fight and all that effort, he takes me down. I collect my stuff and I go home. Back at home, I hit up my alchemy lab to make some potions to heal and buff for this fight to give me every advantage I can. Then I run back without tracking him. I have his address. I know where he lives, and I'm coming for him. Running on the trails for a short while, I run into him just as the sun comes up. Not being too keen on fighting him during the day, but too antsy to just sit and wait for the night, I do what some would call poking the bear. Keeping a close eye on him until night, I engage right when the sun goes down, yet again forced to make a tactical retreat. I decide to change up my strategy a little bit. This whole time, up till this point, I had played with mostly all the same abilities and figured giving some others a try is probably a good idea and better to learn other abilities as well. So I engage once again. And I run and change some things again. We fight again and his AI then breaks, giving me an easy win. After all that happened, I wasn't even upset I didn't get to have a fair fight. Feeling confident, and since it was on my way back, I stop at a cotton farm and grab some cotton and chase their chickens. Nearing the castle, I get a message that both Catherine and Catherine had been killed on their respective missions. Having been running these bosses, I decided to track the very next one, being Octavian the militia captain. Making my way into the camp he is in, I cleared out all the enemies in the area. Since it was day, I didn't mind taking out the enemies in the area and staying in the tent until the sun went down. Once it came close to sundown, I got in my ready position and waited to take action. After a wild fight and almost succumbing to death due to sword, I make it out on top. This was a big kill as it gave me recipes to make the anvil, which means better weapons, and it gave me the recipe for Dawnthorn armor. In order for me to make the new armor, I needed the recipe to make silk and ghost yarn. So I immediately set my tracker for Angora the spider, and off I went. While on the journey, I noticed it seemed to be taking a little bit of time, and I had imagined this boss was probably in the endgame area. See, the map can essentially be broken down into starting zone, intermediate zone, and then the endgame zone. And the further north you go, you traverse these zones respectively. And after looking at the map to figure out my suspicions, I just decided to head to the Cursed Forest. This would be my first time heading to the Cursed Forest, and something about it just felt kind of magical and mysterious. The area just felt special, especially after riding past what appeared to be a werewolf town. As I made my way through the forest, it was made very evident that I was on the right track. Fighting through this cave was a very long task, lots of spiders as well as these carrier spiders which would continually throw out 2 ads until they themselves were killed, meaning this cave had to at all times be played out very strategically, as there were many of these carrier spiders. After a long slog through the cave, I finally lay my eyes on Queen Angora. I decide to once again poke the bear just to get a response. And quickly after doing so, I decide to nope the fuck out and head home. On my way back, I once again find myself alongside that werewolf town, which I then out of curiosity find out it's called Gloomgrave Village. And these things are tough. Back at base, I make the decision to not fight the spider just yet and instead track Jade the vampire hunter. Having a vague idea of where she is, I teleport out. It doesn't take long for us to cross paths, and once we did, she started blasting. While fighting her, I run into Christina the Sun Priestess. This leaves me no choice but to make a tactical retreat. I then re-engage immediately. Unfortunately for me though, her being the vampire hunter is smart as she knew vampires hate sun. With this new dilemma of burning to death, I tried to fight while staying in the shadows and also trying to keep out of her line of sight. Too bad she was also a lumberjack in a previous life and her shots were taking down all the trees around me. It's no surprise that she took me down. I grab my things and fight her again. This time making the dumb choice to lead her right into close quarters, so I make an escape and heal up. I then stalk the road once more, looking for her, and I then not only find her, but she is fighting near another enemy with 87% brute blood, which would give me a huge advantage. I try to lead him away from her so I can weaken him enough to drink his blood, but she is right on our tail. The brute runs back to his patrol pattern and I'm able to get to him and drink his blood. Now I proceed to kite Jade around a tent, the same tactic I used on Meredith. This method works flawlessly once again as I proceed to dismantle Jade. I begin my journey back home, but not before running into a 85% blood warrior. So naturally I took him hostage to hopefully put in a prison to drink from his blood at my leisure. I then just kinda ran around and did some exploring while grabbing any resources I found. Mostly mining silver while on my little expedition. After my exploration and heading back to base, I placed my haul in the storage areas, and then I called it a night. The next day, my priority was the making of dark silver bars, so I would be able to make the anvil and craft better weapons. Dark silver was kind of a pain to make because you would need scourge stones and silver. Scourge stones could be made through crafting, which would take glass, bone dust, and whetstones, or just farmed for outright. Scourge stones at this point in the game were the biggest limiting factor, however. While looking through my materials, there was a bit of drama in Global. With my need for silver, I decided to make my first trip to the silver mine. This being my first trip here and knowing that the other mine was filled with many enemies, it was no surprise that I was met with heavy resistance. However, this time it was the endgame type of enemies kind of resistance. So it was a hell of a fight trying to make my way into the mines. Luckily, the night had just rolled in. Slowly and meticulously, I made my way closer and closer to the entrance. Then I run into a name that was actually familiar, someone I had seen in Global Chat before. Lucky for me, they weren't keen on getting into a brawl. They in fact leaned more towards working together on making our way through the mine so we can both get ore. So we did just that. Now, silver being the bane to the existence of vampires, we were limited on the amount we were able to hold before taking damage. So reaching just under the limit where we would take damage, we start to head out. Now this is where I find out just how much of a pain in the ass it is to make a break for freedom after exiting the mines. At the fork in the road, this is where Snuggles and I go our separate ways. I managed to find a horse and take off as quick as possible. However, I quickly get lost on the way I have to go, leading me to crash into a wall and get overwhelmed by enemies. So left to ditch the horse, I run further down the path where I find yet another horse. I then get shot off this horse as well, and these enemies are the ones that make traversing this area just a hassle on horseback. Running the rest of the way home, I get my silver into the furnace, and I start playing around with the graves I had set up in my garden area. These things are supposed to be used to farm materials, I believe. I've seen them used for other means, more on that later, however. With how long these take to summon enemies, I felt they were kind of a waste if they were used to farm. Next I went to get some iron. While doing so, I saw some more drama going down in the chat. The gist of the drama goes as follows. This guy Maverick joined Alex and Patar's clan and then decided to steal stuff from them. He must have wronged multiple people because I later saw him get raided by another group as well. Unfortunately, I wasn't recording during that because it was during a time when I felt recording during more farming was kind of unnecessary. But of course, this is when I witnessed something happen, the time when I'm not recording. But anyway, that's in the future and not right now. So, back on track, this banter went back and forth for a bit. This whole day was just a big farming kind of day, as that was the point I had reached. My main farms were silver, scourge stones, and glass. While dropping stuff off at base, there was banter about proper building. Reckless gives his 2 cents about proper base building, which is funny looking at this now, as later I take a look at his base. But spoilers, I'm not gonna show that right now. Continuing my Scourge Stone farm, Shade shows up.
Hello. Trying to do the boss.
Being the person that he is, leaves and lets me have the farm spot, which during this act really solidified his claim of being a good person just prior to this incident. Finally, after a long bout of farming, not only for Scourge Stones but also making trips to the silver mines, I finally had enough dark silver bars to make the anvil. I then relocated the smithing area and the prison cells for a better feng shui. Feeling accomplished this day and revamping the castle by finding a good use for the new space I had previously had empty, I called it a day. The next day, my mission was simple. More farming for more of the materials I had already been farming to make a stronger weapon. Dark silver bars were the true test of farming. At this point in the game, Scourge Stones, glass, and silver were a big deal and would remain the most farmed resources all the way to the end game. It was a pretty regular resource farm day. Pay no mind to all that noise. Today, the global chat was really popping off with even new names appearing in chat. Shade, still living up to the good person mission statement, was taking it upon himself to help out these new players. Then another new player makes an entrance. Little to my knowledge, this would be a very notable player later on. It was nice to see so many new people chatting after I had been on the server for a little bit now, and it was a lot of the same names that I had only seen in global chat and not actually running around. This right here is a good time. The sense of community that was going on made this resource farming day pretty enjoyable and more eventful. After getting my fill on farming and having just this short session, I called it a night. Little did I know, however, the next day would be the start of a very different journey. So, the next day, let me go ahead and set the scene for you. Feeling like it was a waste of hard drive space to record just more resource farming, I decided to not start recording this day. I figured I would hit the record button when I was about to do something more notable. Of course, it would come to no one's shock when something starts happening when the recording isn't going. So what happens is I get approached by someone by the name of Blythe, who catches me as I was running back from farming Scourge Stones. I had just saw the loot of someone who had just died, so I figured he had killed another player. In this moment, I wasn't sure how things were going to go, but he asked me to join his group. This is actually a moment I had been waiting for, but figured it would happen when I was in the end game. So with no hesitation, I joined them, and behold, the person I had just seen in chat the day earlier, Mike the Gay, is part of this clan as well. Turns out he did kill someone on the road and was actually going to kill me before Blythe said they should ask me to join them. After getting Discord situated and walking into a voice channel with music blasting, this is where the journey takes a big change. Up until this point, I had been a solo player, quietly building my empire in the starting area as not to get much attention, and now joining a crew with their castle being quite literally smack dab in the middle of the map. This is where the fun really starts. Initially, being impressed with the large open area their base had when I first showed up, it wasn't going to be ideal if someone had decided to attack us. However, the base would slowly change over the course of us all playing together. Since I was slightly ahead of them, we would have to do a little catch-up. Also, get explained that the game is almost impossible to play yourself.
Like, the mid-game, like 50 and above, it's like, I feel like it's just impossible.
Oh, dude, I've been soloing everything up until this point. Like, the boss that... My last boss I beat was, Jade the Vampire Hunter. I rebuttal by saying I have soloed everything up to this point. Always gotta try to flex that E-peen, baby. I also explain the kinda lay of the land, if you will, and how the server kind of runs, as I had learned over the course of my time being on it. Alex, Tug, and I don't know who else is in that clan.
Do they have, like, multiple clans allied with each other, or is it just that one?
That I'm not sure. But what I do know is that they won't fight other clans unless they're on equal footing as them. A nice little thing that I was able to gain from this new alliance was their research.
Oh shit. You just unlocked a ton of shit for us.
Did I really?
Yeah. Holy crap.
One of these things being the paper press, which honestly has a good idea behind it, but unfortunately is one of the most useless stations you can get. Let me take a little bit to explain. So the idea behind the paper press is to allow you to make paper scrolls, what have you, so you can unlock research. Now, some of the items required to make these scrolls take just as much time to farm as farming the scrolls outright, so it makes little to no sense to make the scrolls, and way more sense to just farm the scrolls. Anyway, I then decided to take Blythe to my castle for a couple of reasons. One being to see if he needed any resources, and two, to flex my fucking mansion.
Oh, okay, yeah, I passed by here earlier.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
Yeah. Because, like, I was, like, thinking to myself, man, this place is probably way bigger than it looks on the outside, but I can't really tell.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, I guess.
Yeah, no, this is sick.
I then got my ego stroked pretty hard.
No, I was watching different streamers and stuff play this game, and even their castles weren't this good.
Oh shit, dude, thanks. I appreciate that. After admiring my work, we set out to get them caught up on the bosses. The first of which was at a place I was oh so familiar with, that being the Church of the Damned, where I did a lot of my Scourge Stone farming. She's gone.
No.
Oh no! What?
No, dude.
Really?
No,
Where is she?
Oh no, it got me. Fuck.
Easily taking down the boss, but not without casualties. We make our way back over to Jade, who takes us all down, of course with the help of the enemies patrolling.
Oh shit.
Yeah, when she does that... Oh no!
Oh.
We then instead go fight Terra the Geomancer. I then make a run back to my base as I was close to finishing up my weapon upgrade. I also grab all of my remaining Scourge Stones and iron to bring back to the clan base. During this time, I make multiple runs between my castle and the clan castle to bring supplies as I find we need them. After some time, Blythe brings a friend in to try and be our fourth.
So I made a private server just to like start to understand the map and all that. I'm level 30.
This is where one of the fundamental problems comes in. Trying to fill our fourth slot. While Blythe was busy trying to get his friend up to speed, I was trying to help Mike get caught up on some bosses, so we started fighting Octavian, where we both unfortunately died.
Make sure you equip that weapon.
I'm down. Which was a big difference compared to when I fought him on my own. We do the fight again, but this time Octavian breaks due to brain rot. He caught during the fight, giving us an easy win. Do you see him like frozen right now?
Yeah, I do.
Alright, easy kill, I guess.
Yes, please stay like this.
What the hell happened? While at the base, Blythe continues to get Oris caught up, and Oris decides to follow the objectives given to him in the upper left hand corner, which leads to him removing one of our floor tiles. Unfortunate for us, this was all one room, and the delicate fabric of this entire room was held together by this one single floor tile. So with the removal of said tile, we got this.
Wait, why the fuck is the sun?
Somebody destroyed one of the pieces of the floor and it opened up the entire roof.
I did not think that would happen.
This happened not just once, but twice as well.
The room has not been compromised, correct?
No. Yeah. Actually, what the hell?
Yeah, it actually has.
I also noticed this new guy wasn't very adept on being a vampire. Alright, so be careful what you're aiming at when you press space and you're in build mode.
Fair point. I will be more conscientious.
How come you're taking damage also?
He doesn't have blood.
Oh, he's out of blood.
I think I put all the tainted hearts in the press.
I think I did too.
I'm good.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did.
So then you guys need Frostmaw, right?
Right.
After a little more banter, we decide to fight Frostmaw. But not before fighting Vincent the Frostbringer, who happened to be right outside our castle. There we go.
All at the same time, or what?
The plus side was the fight with Frostmaw was actually easier with a group, unlike most of the other fights in this game, where it seems fighting solo almost always feels more balanced. No, please. Oh my god. I need the heal.
Did you see how he went down?
Oh yeah.
Oh, nice. Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
He like skipped his death animation.
Really? Sweet.
Oh, it was a lot easier with a team.
Yeah, with a team, way easier.
By himself, it's so chaos.
It's bad, yeah. At base, Mike starts putting up some walls in the base as we place all our resources. After some banter, I called it a night. It was quite the eventful day. I was now part of a group and we planned on getting to the endgame together. Except without Oris, as he was never seen again after this day. The next day, I was pretty excited to get back into the game, as now I was working with others. Gone were the days of a solo player. Now, rather than gathering supplies for myself, the supplies would be for the collective. I immediately head over to the group castle since I saw Blythe was online.
Hey, what's up,
And notice Oris decided to not sleep in his coffin. More importantly is the place now had separate rooms rather than being one big open area. See, the little thing about rooms is that every workstation has a matching floor. Meaning, if you have the sawmills and the grinders, they match with a workshop floor. So by having the correct floor with the correct workstations, it cuts down on time and materials. After some time, Blythe's friend comes online, this time No Sway, who we had seen in Global Chat a couple days back, as well as the friend that Blythe had said rage quit after he was missing out on boss kills.
Do y'all have room if I play this stupid game again?
I actually don't right now.
With wanting to fill the 4th spot, the plan was to invite whoever was on to fill the 4th spot, so Oris was kicked out in place of No Sway. With Oris being kicked from the clan, he was now considered hostile, and Raid Wolf did not take too kindly to hostile enemies, so he swiftly delivered justice.
I don't know where I'm going. Where do I
Dude.
get from?
Raid Wolf just killed your buddy.
Oh, did he really? Oh my god, that's hilarious. A beat on him.
I'm
Holy
here.
shit, dude.
I didn't know where anything was.
After this incident, we made a game plan on what we would need. Let's see, what can we really use right now? Just like grave dust, probably, right?
Yeah, and I have like 9 on me. And I also noticed you can get it in that iron mine.
Oh,
it's
really?
not there. So yeah, I was trying to farm iron and that at the same time.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'll head down there and start smashing some stuff. Of course, it came down to needing more Scourge Stones because Scourge Stones always seem to be the limiting factor on everything we need. So naturally, I went to the iron mine to farm for bones, to make grave dust, as well as mine iron, and it just so happened to be just a stone's throw away from the new base location. When I got back to base, I started throwing all the supplies where they have to go, while No Sway and Blythe went to go get bear form. And then Mike came on and remained sleeping in his coffin, and he would remain in his coffin until he logs off much later. Also, Wolf and Nicholas got destroyed on their hunts. Perhaps someone made the mistake I had made by sending servants on impossible missions. Who can say, really? Oh yeah, I saw some of the servants that you sent out on a mission. It had a message that they died. So you might want to look at that.
Maybe I didn't get them out enough or something.
Maybe.
I don't know. I did give them some gear, but it was like the leftover gear that we
Yeah.
had in the chest.
I got you. Yeah, we have to revive him then. Most of this day was spent making consecutive iron mine runs for grave dust and iron, resulting in a good amount of Scourge Stones. But then we started to run out of our supply of glass. Blythe was also decking out the servants with goodies. After a day of mostly farming, Blythe and I chat and get to know each other a little better before calling it a day. The next day, when I got on, I saw Mike was already up to some stuff. Deciding I wanted to make some progress on some bosses, I immediately went to fight the Spider Queen. Not sure as to why I tracked it though, because I had already checked out the area and it's really not a mystery as to where her location is. I consulted with Mike to see what he had been up to, but he had just killed the Spider Queen, so I at first went at it alone. After a decent first attempt, I got taken down. A second attempt and I had got just as close, but still didn't take her down. As my third try wasn't going too well, I ran out of the arena with a tactical tail between the legs run. Then on the next attempt, Mike joined in on the fight and it was a done deal for the Spider Queen. After fighting the Spider Queen, Mike and I ran to a nearby area and started fighting the enemies, accidentally running into another boss. So we decided to give it a go. But we quickly got overwhelmed by the ads, especially after not being fully healed before he got pulled. The second attempt, however, after Mike unfortunately met his fate, I was able to finish off the boss, but not before some confusion on what happened. We then cleared the area and went back to base. While at base, the whole gang came on.
Who that is?
Hey,
What's going on?
just got off work. Like, fucking worst day ever. Let's go kill some shit.
Then we have the chat where I explain how the servants work.
No, I just thought, is my dude Wolf? I don't know if I can send him out or not. That's all. Oh, shut up.
But I know if I send it out to Ghost Crystals, it would be like very high chance of failure.
Yeah.
But see, like, where does it say the success rate? Wait, I gotta put one in. Hold on.
Yeah, so click on one of the where you would want to go, and then you select who you want to go for that, and then it'll show you the success rate.
Oh, like World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I sent Raid Wolf to the Cursed Forest, you would have a 19% chance.
Oh fuck.
Let's go.
Nice.
That's if
I'll
it
take
was
my
very, very carefully
I'm a
planned.
betting man.
After some banter, we decided on going to get Toad form.
Blood heart, the blood.
Could go get a
Well.
Toad form from the dude.
Want to
Oh.
do that?
Oh, all about toad form.
Let's
Yes, didn't
do
even.
it.
Let's go get it. What is it for?
We'll find
Oh yeah,
out.
that one.
Okay, it's fine. Okay, it's a mystery.
We made our way through the cursed forest until we made our way to the Mac Daddy Toad Boy. In none other than the Swamp of Greed. Possibly a nod to one of the deadly sins, or maybe gluttony would have made more sense if they were going that route. We started the fight, this being our first boss fight with the whole squad. This fight wasn't too bad with us being in full force.
No, I died to the sun.
What a nice.
Oh no, the sun!
Let's go, boy.
Man, I
Oh, we
thought I
got
was
him.
in the fucking shadow. Damn, I died.
Oh, what? Oh,
That's right.
fuck.
Don't respawn.
We then made our way back to base while being witness to some domestic violence.
That was pretty mean of that dude.
Yeah.
Dude,
You saw him.
that werewolf
Whoa.
just
That was
fucking...
some fucking. We just witnessed Darwinism.
I know.
Really
Oh
rude.
no, he's chasing us now. Oh my god, he's fast.
Oh
He is
shit, he took
very
a
fast.
swipe, dude.
Yeah, I had to juke him. Holy shit.
A wolf man on wolf crime, if you will. After we throw all our stuff in the base, we decide to get Blythe and No Sway caught up on Octavian, where we somehow all get taken out. Strange how this boss fight was more easily done solo, but whatever. Oh shit. Heading back from Octavian, we concoct plans of stealing other people's horses.
We're just gonna have a bunch of fucking horses in here. We're gonna steal everybody else.
Just take everybody's horse.
That will be our thing. We're horse thieves now.
Yeah, right. Ultimately, we decided to go to the silver mines as we needed silver. I do preface the others with having had the experience as to what to expect from doing silver runs.
We can make dark silver ingot already, but we don't have silver ore to make it.
How do we make? Where's silver ore then?
That's in, what's it called? Silver...
In the area that we haven't been to.
It's the Silverlight
Silverlight
Hills.
Hills.
Yeah, there's a silver mine over there.
Because when I'm bored, I'll just go mine. It's very common for me.
Getting in
Oh,
and
yeah,
out
farming,
of that
farming
place...
resources when you're bored is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Getting out of that place can be a bitch, though, sometimes.
Hey,
I've never been there, so I don't
I
know.
got
It's
frog
it's
mode
it's a pain in the
Yeah.
ass to get out of there sometimes.
now. I got magic frog mode.
We fight our way from the way gate to the mines and then fight our way into the mine. While in the mines, we think we see an area where a mini-boss may be, but we all get overwhelmed and taken down, except for one.
Oh shit, that dude killed me in one hit. Alright, we all are gone.
I saw that.
What a motherfucker, dude. Oh no.
I could.
Oh shit, dude. Oh, nice. Oh, damn, dude.
Oh no, I just fucking killed myself.
Mike fought his ass off and kept the team alive. Once we got our fill on silver, it came time to escape.
Now I see why you hate this place. It's a silver. It's not like even the plate.
Uh-huh.
I thought it was only silver coin that gives that effect. That's so shitty.
Yep, it's silver ore too. Yep.
Oh my god. Hey, why am I dying? Oh shit, what?
Oh no, you don't die. You just go. You go to 1 health. Okay.
Oh shit, so it won't kill you?
No.
Oh shit, so I just learned something.
Oh, you thought it would actually kill you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of know. I'm going back to base.
I'm having a party here.
If I get hit by anything, I'm dead. If they snipe me, I'm fucking dead.
I know, dude.
I get sniped by a musketeer.
Big risk, big reward.
Yeah. I have a shit ton of silver. Oh no! I'm dead.
Oh fuck, dude. Here.
It's okay. The closer I get to the Waygate, the better easier it's gonna be. Dude, holy fuck, dude.
Do you need some backup over there?
No, I'm good. I'm gonna fucking keep going back. I get closer and closer every day.
Yeah, so this is why that can be such a bastard to do.
Yeah, I see it now. I see why you said that.
Yeah. On the way back, I was reunited with my horse. Holy shit, I found Moose. He's still there. When back at base, there was almost some PvP that Blythe got into. What,
Where is he?
A player?
Oh, let's go.
Oh
Yeah, let's
shit,
go.
let's go.
I'm down. Yeah, let's
On
go
a
fuck him
horse,
up.
though. He might be running. He's running.
Where's he at?
Oh no.
Going,
What a
going
pussy.
west.
I can't
Yeah,
even.
I'm at,
I have
I'm
told
close to
me.
the base.
Yeah, just
Yeah, you would
I
have
just
ran
wanted to
at
fuck
him
him
with
up.
like no help.
Thanks. Is that the guy that said thanks, Daku?
It's funny how he said thanks for not attacking on site when we were definitely planning on attacking on site.
Right.
Then our fourth got off.
Hey, I'm gonna log off for a little bit. I'll get back on like the hour, alright?
Night.
Alright.
Alright.
Okay, see you.
And he never came back. Ever. With Jade right on our doorstep and Blythe needing to get that kill, we take her down. Oh fuck, here comes their homies. Oh shit. My next plan of action was to work on farming materials for the Dawnthorn armor. With most of the materials I needed being in the Cursed Forest, I decided to fight Wilfred on the way up. I decided to go at it alone just to see how it goes because it seems like the scaling sometimes makes things easier solo. And the fight wasn't going too bad. However, this being a werewolf town and werewolves tend to only come out at night, unfortunately the fight got cut short when the sun came up. After not actually going to farm for my Dawnthorn stuff, I go back to the base where Blythe, rather than saving our dark silver for an anvil for the collective, he went to my castle to make a weapon for himself. I think it takes, what, like 32 bars to make it?
It does. Oh, you do.
Yeah, I took a bunch with me.
Yeah, instead of making an anvil here. Rip.
Man, he decided to use the bougie castle.
I know. He took all the dark silver and ran to the bougie castle to make the OP weapon.
I then decided to go to my base to grab supplies I potentially already had to use towards my Dawnthorn armor. Because you see, I, unlike Blythe, would rather bring my stuff from my old bachelor lifestyle to the new place for the betterment of the group. I also decided to put my servants to better use rather than just lounging around the castle all day. Next, Blythe and I went on a mission to fight Raziel. For this fight we had to make holy resistance potions, as just setting foot in the holy sanctum would cause pain upon us unfortunate souls. With the boss being relatively close, we just run down the road and decimate our way into the holy sanctum. We come face to face with Raziel, and after what was a pretty fun fight, we step on him. Oh shit.
Who are you guys fighting?
Raziel the shepherd. Wow, dude, what the fuck? He just kept that shit on me. He's almost down though. There we go. That was pretty good. Feeling pretty good after that, we get Blythe caught up on the spider boss. Fuck, dude, right there, dude! Shit! It says hold to extract blood.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Yes.
You got it? Yo, nice!
Yes.
Yo! Next, we tried Wilfred, and it took us multiple attempts as he kept getting healed way too much when he switched phases. We eventually got him, however Blythe had gone down and did a corpse run rather than wait until we all got dropped or the fight ended. So unfortunately he didn't get the kill this night. He's almost dead. He's so close.
No!
Let's go, baby!
Nice. Oh shit, did I not get it?
No.
You gotta be kidding me. Did I not? No.
Let's see. Wait, where are you? Oh, there. Wait.
I went back. I was slain, so I went back.
Oh, what the fuck? No, dude. So it didn't count? Which was unfortunate for him, as the ability Heart Strike you get from Wilfred is a beast of an ability. We made more attempts with him until we got to the point where we would try another time. We then went back to base, and I placed all my stuff in the designated places, and that's where this day came to a close. Now that it was once again the weekend, it was real gaming time. So getting on before anyone else, I took some time to bougie up the castle a bit, trying to make it feel more like home. And this will be an ongoing project where this base eventually feels more at home than my actual base. Even though I still at the end of each session go back to my base for sleeps. At some point I picked up this helmet that made me look like Nickelodeon slime. Also, by the way, head slot items are purely cosmetic and found throughout the game by looting chests, enemies, or from fishing. But anyway, I decided to fight the next boss, Merwin the Elementalist. I made a couple of attempts at her, but on my second attempt I just ran out of the arena as things weren't going favorably. I went to my base since it was closer than the crew's base and started making potions to give me a better edge in the fight. After gathering all of the materials I needed for all the potions, I went to make another attempt. I got her close, however she summoned a fucking spirit bomb and used the world's energy to end my career. So I felt it time to take a break. Coming back from my little break, I somehow was able to collect my loot. I made some changes to my abilities and gave it another go. Unfortunately, I had to make a tactical run the fuck away. I healed up and went back in. Now the sun decided to play games, so I just left entirely. Once the darkness blanketed the earth again, it was once again time to partake in the beating of ass. It was, however, my ass that was getting beat, and I ran away. Now, I wasn't having it anymore. I played with my abilities once more and actually played the boss the way the mechanics would want you to play, and I was the one who beat ass. Running to my base, I stashed some stuff and took another break. When I came back from break this time, Mike and Blythe had come on, and my thinking was that they had been doing some boss progress, so I decided to get caught up and just solo a bunch of bosses. I started with the Harpy boss, and it was actually a one and done fight, so I went to the next, being Terrorclaw the Ogre. He wasn't too bad of a fight and was also a one and done. Finally, I was going to do Matka the Curse Weaver. This fight, I had to make a quick retreat and then jump back into the fight. I had to make a second retreat and again jump back into the fight. This time, I played the fight better and took out the boss. I was pretty happy with the fact that I took out 3 bosses in quick succession and felt I was caught up with the others until I found out that they hadn't really been doing bosses and Blythe wanted to fight the Harpy boss. We were then concocting a plan to take down Azariel next so we can make gold bars. But first I head over to the Harpy boss to help Blythe get the boss kill. This is where it became really apparent how different the boss fights feel when it's solo versus a group effort. We got killed multiple times and even on the killing blow fight had difficulty getting the kill. It also didn't help that the sun was out in an area with almost no shade and I was asked to res. This is what this shit is all about. The random, organic, goofy moments with some chill people you just met just having a good ass time. When we get back to the base, we realize that all the silver from the pain in the ass of a silver run was gone, and we need more. Me thinking I had some back at my base, decided to give it up for the greater of the collective. But there was still the looming silver run overhead. We prepped by getting our holy resistance potions and buff potions and we set out for Azariel. Thinking I knew where the boss was without tracking its blood, I led everyone to the wrong fucking place. Accidentally took us to Solaris, the Immaculate, who we would get to know very well later on. Next, we went to the correct location, and engaging this boss led to a very fun fight, in my opinion, and we managed to one and done this boss. Right outside, we were greeted with a 90% brute, but he was kind of weak and unfortunately got killed before we can grab him for the cages. While on our way out, we ran amok in the town. When we got back to base, I upgraded some armor. I had also done some work with the back area of the castle, making a nice additional garden area with a nice walkway. We then went to the Cursed Forest to farm for ghost crystal and other materials we needed from this area, such as silkworms from the spider cave. Since we were in the area, we made an attempt at Knight Marshal Styx, the Sunderer. After a wild fight, he took us all down. Matka being in the area, and Mike and Blythe needing to still get her kill. We decided to take her down really quick. When we reached the base, we just talked about how much we were enjoying our time playing. Stored all our materials in their containers, looked at what boss would be next. I admired the new look to our library with the double entrance. I then went to make the axes we had access to. Unfortunately, I picked the wrong weapon and remade the scythe I was already using. The time spent now was for farming materials. On the way, there was a bug on the road to the Cursed Forest where the werewolves from the werewolf town just culminated in a giant storm of fur, fangs, and claws, moving as one mass in an unnatural, weird way, mauling and destroying anything that comes through their path. After some farming and actually making the new axes, Mike and I decided to make an attempt at Styx again, since Blythe had gone offline and we wanted to test the fight. After multiple attempts and still no success, as well as how late it was getting, it was time for me to call it a night. Mike was determined to finish it before he went to bed, and we both figured it would probably be easier if we attempted solo anyway. The following day turned out to be a pretty big day. When I got on, I had saw Mike had just got on and found out he had taken Styx down. So that only meant there was one place I had to head right now. I immediately made my way up to the Cursed Forest and started running around on his road he patrols. My first attempt didn't go so favorably, however the fight felt more manageable than when there were multiple of us. My second attempt also didn't end in my favor. My third attempt, I had to make a tactical retreat. However, my fourth attempt, I made him my bitch. Taking down this boss gave me the ability to turn into a bat, which was huge for traveling and scoping out areas, aka other players' bases. Only really useful at night, however, as a vampire and sun equals dust in the wind. Being in the area, I did some farming for materials and I was out. Back at base, and just in time for night, I dropped all my stuff as you can't use bat form when holding materials, and I tried it out. Of course, not before doing some more touch-ups on the sick fucking bouginess of the castle. I used this form to head over to where Mike was and join him on farming for jewelry from the huge town so we can make some gold bars. Back at base, it was more decorating time. After I did a fair amount of decorating, Mike and I had the idea to fight the next boss, being Gore Crusher the Behemoth. And he is a real hell of a boss. This boss gave us a lot of trouble. While on one of our runbacks, we ran into Bustin, who I had a little bit of a chat with. After a few failed attempts, we ran into Bite Me and Shade at the entrance to the boss room, as they also had to fight this boss. So we decided to team up and take the boss down together. And this attempt sealed it for us. And after all this time of seeing Shade around, he and his crew decide to make an alliance with our crew. Once again, still living up to the good guy's statement. While on this attempt as well, Blythe came on. We made our way to base, and due to my habit from when I was a solo player of double-clicking doors to make sure they close, on coming from the teleporter, I closed the gate and the door to the castle. Meanwhile, Mike was still on his way back, and the sun had been up, so I believe due to the fact that I made these extra steps slowing Mike down from getting into the cover of the castle, he died from the sun. While in the base, I made some fire resistance potions by request of Shade and Bite Me, and Mike and I head over to the area where the Winged Horror is, which is in the dreaded peak. So we decided to give it a try, but the attempt was cut short due to dying from the sun. Now, it was time to get back to farming for gold bars. With the gold bars, the Eye of Twilight was finally constructed, thanks to some information that Bustin had given during the talk I had with him. And with the Eye of Twilight, the true endgame, which, unbeknownst to us, was shown to us. You see, the Eye of Twilight shows where these soul shards are. The soul shards are originally dropped by the big 3 bosses, being Behemoth, the Winged Horror, and Solaris. There are only 1 shard of each respective boss, and those who get the kill first hold on to the shards. Now, knowing who the big clan is on the server, Alex, Tug, and Reckless, it was pretty apparent who had these shards, and where the end game was to take us. It also appears that I have seen this before in a vision of sorts. Before heading off to do some farming, I did a nice little aerial view of our castle to admire the progress that we have made with it as a collective. After the farming, I went to help Blythe finally secure his werewolf boss kill that we never got around to finishing. While here, I ran into a familiar face being Snuggles, who cheered us on, and we finally got Blythe his kill. When I went back to my base, I made note of just how much closer Nadja had gotten to building near my solo base, and even took to the skies to see her development, which wasn't much of anything. She had a big property, but most of it was just walls built probably just to secure the area near my base so I couldn't expand into her direction anymore. While I was up here, I decided to fly around and check out some other bases and scope out the area before doing some farming. After my farming, we wanted to take out the Winged Horror, as we only had him and Solaris left to deal with. But before Blythe could get up there, he still had to fight Styx. Now, I didn't get this recorded because I forgot to turn my recording on after I had turned it off because I was just farming for materials. But us 3 went to Styx, and the Shade happened to be in the area as well, who joined us for the fight. And we destroyed Styx, and with him down, we wasted no time heading to the dreaded peak. I didn't even bother get better blood, and we hadn't really gotten buff potions. Just fire resistance potions and a dream. For our first attempt, we didn't do all too bad. But ultimately, we got taken down. However, back at base, we regrouped, made some buff potions, and played with our skills a bit, and immediately went back for another attempt. While waiting for Blythe, I hadn't realized that Mike was playing around with his skills. When Blythe showed up, I buffed and immediately pulled, not knowing Mike wasn't ready, and he let me know I had done foul by exclaiming with, "K?" That's how you know it's bad. But damn, this was one of the most fun fights I had in this game up to this point. Felt like playing WoW back in its prime days of just getting into a group of random players and getting through some content. Also, maybe a bit of foreshadowing. Anyway, this attempt was sick, and we beat the boss on this attempt. We were feeling really good and fired up and having a great fucking time. We made our way back to the group base, and then I went to my solo base to call it for the day, and we had planned on taking down Solaris the next day. The following day, I was pretty hype as we had just one last boss to finish, and we had just a fun-filled weekend of goofy times in progress. Being the only one on, I did some light farming and running around waiting for the others. One thing I had noticed is that Blythe seemed to have been not in his crypt and in a very precarious place, being right next to the big clan on the server. So naturally I decided to scope out where he was and poke my nose where it probably shouldn't belong. From the sky you can really see what kind of fortress this group had made, and I somehow was able to land essentially in their yard. When I did so, I was met with a big surprise. Even bigger of a surprise was that Reckless was home. Caught me snooping around. After a little back and forth, I go about my business as usual and repair my stuff. I took some more aerial views of the area and then started farming before taking a little break. When I came back, I was still the only one online, however, so decided to once again do some more farming and got rid of a servant to make way for a new one, as I thought the light weavers were pretty cool. When I secured a new servant and brought her back to my castle, I unfortunately had to get rid of someone, so Javier was let go. I took some time to do some more renovating since I was still waiting for the others. I now had a new servant who I named Mira, and I sent her on some missions before just going to do some farming myself. While I was farming, Reckless had called out for me in the chat and had mentioned how Blythe's castle was decaying. I actually had no idea he had another castle, so surprised by the news, I said, "Is it?" Reckless then said it would be a shame if someone popped the heart. Now I know I, for one, didn't really care if someone had done something to that castle, as I also knew Blythe wouldn't care if someone had done something to that castle. And, if I'm being honest, I wouldn't have cared if someone had done something to my castle. Also, potential foreshadowing? Now I don't know if he thought I would run coming to save that castle, but I had no idea where it was even located, let alone cared enough to go over there. So he continued taunting me, I suppose, while I continued renovating my castle. I then went to the crew's castle to see if I can do anything there, and he mentioned how Blythe was sleeping in front of the alchemy table in our main base. So this is not only implied that he had been keeping an eye on our main base, but also saw inside to the point where he saw Blythe sleeping inside. And Blythe had been sleeping in that spot the other day for nearly the whole day. Interesting how we managed to live in this guy's head rent-free. I was feeling a little down on this day, however, that the other members of the crew never came on, so I called it for the day. Even the next day, I hopped on periodically to see if the other members had got on, but I was also met with nothing until the following day. When I got home from work, this is when I saw it in the Discord. The words, "We fighting Solaris today?" It was time. When I got on, I saw Mike was on, as well as the fact that Nosway had been completely removed, which made sense as he hasn't been on forever. So I told the others about the interaction I had with Reckless, and apparently they had gone and checked out the same stuff I did and saw the Banshee Horde. I told them about how Reckless had been keeping tabs on us, and Blythe seemed to think I was talking about how he had been logged out pretty much by their castle. But he had no idea it was actually right on our doorstep I had been talking about. Anyway, all of that aside, we had a mission to do, and boy, did we not know what we were in for. We made our normal boss preparations and we went for Solaris. When he gets to half health, he summons an angel that sticks to your ass like glue. and is a real pain in the ass. We got him low until he then used a paladin bubble and fucking healed. So the boss mechanic is actually to kill the angel he summons, as she will then become hostile towards him and help you fight him. Now that sounds easy enough, however, after an hour of trial and error, especially when you factor in that we never really re-prep and just run back in and go at it, we kept getting met with failure until the point where Mike said he was going to take a break because he was supposed to try World of Warcraft with a friend. This is when I noticed WoW capture a new soul. Something I sadly feel WoW hasn't done in a while. Blythe and I gave it a few more attempts, but it didn't really work out for us. This day we were met with failure and we had to call it a night. Another day had passed where none of us had gotten on. However, the following day, Blythe and I were both on it and decided to finally try and defeat the final boss. We had a lot of preparations to make before we got to it. We stocked up on materials for potions, and I made sure that we were able to get someone with good blood into one of the jail cells. And I was lucky enough to nab a 90% scholar blood prisoner, which would be super helpful for this fight. We engaged the fight, but unfortunately our first attempt of the day, we went down. Our second attempt, we were met with the same fate. Next attempt, same as the last. We were getting destroyed on this boss. He was rightfully so the toughest boss we had come up against so far. Having to make new preparations, we went back to base to do so. When we returned to the boss, we found Bustin' and Bite Me at the top of the stairs.
Yeah. You know the fight though?
Oh yeah, we've been trying it a few times. Well, I mean, if we fight together, we're just gonna kill each other.
Oh, alright, well, we'll give it a shot and then, see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, unless you guys wanted to range it, but if you guys are this close to the arena, it's gonna be 4 times as hard either way. So, I mean, if you guys want to range, we could all range and try not to hit each other, but increase the difficulty. Yeah, let's send it.
Alright, let me get potions, hold on.
After some deciding on if we should 2-man or team up, we decided to fuck it and go in with the 4 of us. And try to be careful not to hit each other. Spoilers, we definitely hit each other a lot. Now this is where the fucked up part of this comes into play. So we managed to down the boss with the help of these 2. However, Blythe had also been downed, and in that moment, I had thought that the fact that he was down meant he wouldn't get credit for the kill. So I went to revive him. Unfortunate that Bustin' and Bite Me went to drain the blood and we both didn't get credit.
Check your guys' ability, you should have Fallen Angel.
Sometimes it bugs out. You might have to relog if it doesn't give you credit. Did it work? Hit O and make sure you got the credit for the kill.
Yeah, I think I got it.
What? You didn't get it? Fuck.
Nah, it's alright, there's no way. No way you could have known. And I appreciate you trying to res me. It just shows you were looking out for me. So, I mean, it's not your fault or anything.
So, feeling upset, and with only one thing we can do, we got re-prepared and tried again. This time, pretty salty. We played the fight pretty well this time. And while we were fighting, good guy Shade showed up to join the fight.
Betrayal.
Luckily this time we got the kill. Unfortunate for good guy Shade, he was now in our shoes from the previous fight.
That's crazy.
Hey, I'm sorry you didn't get the kill. But you're a homie.
Feeling that it was good guy Shade, I talked Blythe into re-preparing and we would come back to help. It took a little while to get all our preparations made, but once we had them, we went back. This time, we were the ones coming in at the nick of time to help with the boss fight.
Betrayal. Betrayal.
And a Shade got the kill. On our way out, the sun had come up, and with some parting words almost out of a fucking movie. We made our run back to base and we called it a night. Now this is unfortunately where the story comes to a close. After this fight, Mike never really came back on as he went off to play World of Warcraft. Non-stop, really. That's where he's been, and right over there. Blythe I haven't seen on, but must have awoken at some point, but never went back to his coffin. No Sway and Oris were never seen again after their departures. As for me, well, it felt like there was some unfinished business. With no clan left, I didn't know what else to do. I had started as a solo player and had become a part of a crew. Now I was back to being a solo player, but it felt there was still that true endgame that we never got around to. But that just might be a story for another day. Unfortunately, that day might not come within this story. You see, during the making of this video, none of us logged back on ever, so all of our stuff is probably gone. So, that's the end of this journey. However, there will be more journeys. Maybe in this game, or most likely other games. Who knows? But just know that there will be more stories to be told. Later!